All right, well, we are standing in front of our new entrance. As you can see, it's nothing special right now, but hopefully sooner than later it'll be fancy and we'll have a nice gate and all that kind of stuff. So,
welcome to the Dogwood River Ranch.
all right, so as you can see, we haven't really done a whole lot. When we first bought it, the whole driveway that you can see here wasn't there, so we already started doing that before we committed to making these videos. But this is going to be the entrance. So eventually what the plan will be is to clean all this stuff out, remove this old fence here, and then maybe somewhere right around here we'll probably build some kind of angled fence that comes into a nice gate, right? So this will be a swinging gate that leads into the driveway, and then we'll have to trim up some of these trees and get rid of all this stuff. And I don't know, we might pave this so it's like kind of a turnaround area, something like that. And then over here, just got a bunch of junk that got left behind from the previous owner. I think that they're actually going to come back and remove everything. And as we start walking, we get closer to the old house. We haven't officially determined whether or not we want to keep this house here. It's actually got decent structure to it, but it's completely gutted on the inside and not very pretty overall. So we don't know for sure. If we do keep it over here, this area will kind of be like the front yard for the house. So we already started. So this is the old white house. It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of a historic house. It was left behind at an old business. We have a crawfish place that's kind of local to us. And this house used to be the owner's house, and then I guess they let it go, and eventually the people we bought this place from had moved it over here. We don't know whether or not we're going to leave it here in this spot or move it down the road further, which we'll get to. But it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I think it's about 700 square foot. It's, you know, all wood. It's still pretty solid, just paint's coming off. So, you know, some work is going to need to be done. As you can tell, it's totally stripped on the inside. At one point it was, you know, it was fully built, but they just let it go. So it's gonna need to be redone. My dad's actually gonna be living on this property with us, at least part-time. So this will probably be his house. So he's probably gonna take on this project for the most part. We don't know what we're gonna do. We might end up raising the roof just because it's so low. You know, if you put a fan here, we're not going to be able to even walk through it. So we might end up raising this roof up or just redoing the roof completely. But we have a little living area. Kitchen is right there. And then 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. So nothing special, but it's pretty cool considering it came with the price of the property. We didn't necessarily pay anything extra for it. We just bought it at land value, not with a structure. So this is the little white house.
All right, so the little white house is to our left. As you can tell, our driveway is very long, which we're really excited about. Once we get to this point right here, it starts to open up so that there's going to be pastures on each side. We're going to fence it all the way down so that we have it cross fence, so we can have 2 separate pastures. We can rotate the horses or utilize it for any other animals that we have. So we'll head up the road.
All right, so we're kind of in the middle of the front pasture now. About, I don't know, 1,000 feet maybe from the front where we just were. So as you can see, we have some flags laid out here. This is going to be a pond that we're digging. So the plan is to have it's going to be one pond that goes on both sides of the road. We're going to put a culvert in the middle, so you actually have to drive over the pond going up the driveway. And main reason for that is just because in terms of plumbing it from the well, we only want to have you know, one line from the well that comes into it, and that way, since it's going to be the pasture is going to be divided by the road, the horses and other animals and stuff can get water from both sides, both pastures. So we don't know for sure, but we think it's about maybe a half acre, 3/4 acre pond, something like that. There's a lot of land that's being wasted right now. So this is all in the front pasture, but they just let it get overgrown. So you probably can't see it unless you were to back up, but this goes down probably another 100 foot. So what the plan will be, this is just kind of an intro just to show you, is we're gonna start chopping all this stuff down and hopefully try to gain another, 4 or 5 acres of pasture for the horses. So yeah, I don't know if you can see into it at all. Ooh, sharp. It's pretty thick, as you can tell, so it's going to be a lot of work, but gaining pasture is a good thing.
So we've got this really big barn shed. Eventually I want to paint the whole exterior so that it's all one color rather than having multiple color sheet metals. There's only 2 structures that were on it, the little white house and this one. This is about a 50 by 50 barn. It's massive, got really tall ceilings. We're planning on using it mainly as like an equipment shed. We can put the tractor in it. As you can see, it looks absolutely tiny in here.
It's and that's a 4044 John Deere, so pretty decent sized tractor.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good size, which kind of goes to show how big this barn is. We're still trying to decide exactly in our minds of just creativity. This would be equipment storage. Connor actually just recently bought a 1966 Chevy C20, so that'll get stored in here so it can be nice and safe, away from the rain and getting any more rust problems. We could put a gym in here. There's just endless options. We're really excited about it. Workshop, gym, storage shed. There's just endless possibilities, so much room. It's gonna be really fun to plan this shed out. So we're really excited and grateful that it's here. It just gives us more value to this property.
Yeah, and depending on how quickly we try to move out here, they had it divided right there already for whatever reason. So this little lean-to area on the side could actually be decent stalls for horses. So what we might do is, rip off this stuff, create stall doors there, and then this would be, maybe 2 different stalls for the horses, and then rip all this siding out here, and this area would kind of be their turnout areas. So this would be left just open, and then maybe fence it off here. So might put up the horses here depending on how quick we try to actually move out onto this property. So, and then from here you can start to see the back pasture, which is very overgrown. So as you can see, we bought a property knowing that it had bark beetles. I know a lot of people wouldn't do that. You can watch videos and people say, oh, never buy a property that has bark beetles. And it's gonna suck, it's gonna be a lot of work. We have kind of everything behind us right here. It's about roughly 8 acres of planted pine. And it's pretty unfortunate because it's about 10 years old. So it's coming up on a decent age to actually cut it and use it for good purposes. But we're gonna clear it out, and we'll use the stuff that we can salvage for projects and for building stuff. So it's all pretty dead. But as you get deeper in here, there's some spider web. There's still some trees that are alive. But what we're kind of thinking, we've just barely talked about it amongst ourselves, is what I would really like to do is actually clear out all the trees, or the current pine trees, and do maybe like a fruit like planted fruit trees. So it'd be kind of cool to have rows of, you know, apples and peaches and whatever grows well in this area. So, I mean, we could have 8 acres of fruit trees rather than pine, because planted pine takes a really long time to get any return on your investment. You know, normally between 10 and 20 years before the forestry service will come and cut it. So if we have fruit, we can get fruit every year. So here we go. So what you're looking at probably doesn't look like much on camera, but this is actually the duck pond, excuse me. So it's super overgrown right now. When we first bought the property, or not bought the property, when we first started looking at the property, it was wintertime, so all this new growth hadn't come in. But this is a really nice duck pond. The whole thing is pretty shallow, but there's a good landing area for them. It's pretty big. I mean, it's probably about an acre, roughly, maybe 3/4 of an acre. All right, so we kind of relocated just so you can get a better idea. So yeah, it's roughly like, I don't know, 3/4 of an acre, maybe an acre. As you can see, all this weeds, all this duckweed and all this stuff is overgrowth. So the goal is to get in here, scrape it all out, and make it a nice duck pond again. I love duck, so I will be doing plenty of duck hunting. And, you know, it's just a good thing to have. Promotes, that was a big frog. It just promotes, you know, general life, ecosystem and stuff, all that fancy science. So this is just a quick look at the back pasture. As you can tell, it's super overgrown by weeds and everything, but it's another 20-ish acres. The barn, I don't know if you can see it, the barn's right there, tucked behind those trees. Along this side over here is the only neighbor that we really have. So this is the only spot that you can see a house. I don't know if you want to show them the house. So, long time ago they planted pines to kind of create a wall to separate the two properties. We own all of the pines, so the fence line is on the other side of those pines. But yeah, this is the back pasture.
I'm really excited about the back pasture because we're going to build an arena back here, probably a mountain bike, dirt bike track.
Yes, dirt bike track. For sure.
This is basically, the back pasture is going to be like the playground. So that you know where we are, this is the back of the back pasture. And this is one of Connor's favorite spots on the property. So we'll go on a little walk with you here. And I'll try really hard to walk steadily.
In my opinion, this is the most peaceful spot on the property. There's a lot of work that's going to have to go into it, but it is pretty beautiful. Very beautiful. As you can see, the elevation starts to open up.
And if you hear me scream, it's because I saw a snake.
Okay, this is as far as I can walk. So this is the cliff. Oh, I'm not in this anymore. The cliff that overlooks the river. We're probably about, I'd say about 30 feet up right now from the water level. The goal, now that she's standing like right where the cliff ends, is I'm gonna clear all this stuff out and I'm gonna build a nice wood deck right here. So all that stuff that you kind of were just looking at, it'll be totally cleared out. It'll be a nice wood deck. We'll put some chairs, maybe a little like gas barbecue or something, and we'll be able to just sit up here and look at the river. Whoa! Because like I said, it's one of the, I think it's the most beautiful part of this property. So here, let me see if I could, here we go. Ready? Here. This way you can see how far of a, so we have teleported about 50 acres and now we're actually at the very bottom half of the wooded area. So just to kind of give you an idea of how wooded it is, this is the road we just drove back on through all that, which looks like nothing, I know.
So we'll drive back up the west road so that you can see it. But basically this is like one of the lowest points on the property, and it will go back up over there to a cliff where the river is, which we'll show you as well. This is like the first place that we went when we toured the property, when we first looked at it. And this whole area down here was completely dry because it was during like fall, winter. And so it's pretty crazy seeing it so full because it actually gets runoff from the river. So yeah, we can walk on over.
So all this water right here that you're seeing, it's actually river water, but it kind of holds like a pond just because it's such a low area. And then all of this is actually the other property. So these trees kind of right here, sorry, I'm gonna mess it up, is the property line. And then everything on this side is ours.
See, we have a lot of hogs. This whole
and deer, but
bank right here is just full of tracks.
yeah,
Which is pretty cool.
it's a pretty mysterious place down here too, like especially if you're kind of down here at nighttime, all this overgrowth and stuff. It's a pretty cool place.
So we have made the little walk, and we are now at one of our various access points for the river. It is just magical down here. It's so cool.
And slippery.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is very slippery. So much clay and sand.
Hey, you guys want to go swim?
That's one thing we love about this property, is the fact that it's so natural that we really want to preserve that as much as we can. Obviously the pastures and stuff are going to be used for ranching, farming. Connor's stuck in mud now. But but we really want to try to keep it as natural as possible down here. We want to preserve the nature. We want to preserve just the natural beauty of this place. It's so untouched by people, which is something that we absolutely love about it. So that's definitely one of our goals.
So just as like a reference, we have roughly 1 mile of river frontage. So we're just barely even skirting that 1 mile. So just imagine how much more exploring we get to do. Pretty exciting. These are not the right shoes. Ah. This is all clay, so there we go. We're good.
I don't believe it.
All right, I'm going through the mud. All right.
Bye.